Dzień dobry. Assalamu alaikum. Namaste. Konnichiwa. Bonjour. Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's Ken at 10. How are you today? If you just joined us for the first time and wondering what on earth is going on your social media feeds, then we pop on live every day at 10 o'clock because it's 10 o'clock and my name is Ken. And we talk about all things property. We're estate agents, James Alexander, based in southwest London, southwest 16, Norbury to be precise, which is, if you're wondering, between Streatham and Croydon. And we sell and let properties, talk about all things property really, and everything else that's going on really. How are you today? I hope you're having a good day so far. We certainly are. Weather here, a little bit overcast in Norbury. It's kind of grey skied and a little disappointing, but we understand it's going to brighten up for the weekend, which is the best time, isn't it? Absolutely. So a few articles to talk to you about today in the paper. Plus, I've got a quote of the week for you. So stand by for that. Love a quote of the week. Love a good motivational quote, don't you? So house prices. This is an article from Daily Express and City AM. And this is analysis from the Halifax on house prices, which say that they've hit a record high, despite rising at a slower rate than a year ago, hitting an average of £252,765. The report reveals a 5.7% year-on-year increase in Q1, with this down from a nearly 5-year high of 7% recorded last year. On a quarterly basis, it rose 3% in the first 3 months of the year, marking a slowdown on the 2.5 seen in quarter 4 of 2020. Reflecting on the figures, AJ Bell analyst Laith Califf was optimistic for the future of the sector, saying, well, there might be a few bumps along the way, particularly at the end of the stamp duty. The property market has proved itself to be unbelievably resilient. Love that statement, unbelievably resilient. And as many of you regular watchers will know, that's one of the things that has been so impressive about property investment and rental from a landlord's perspective is how resilient the property market has been, even in the face of a pandemic. And I know there'll be some landlords that have been hit very hard, but I have to say the vast majority of landlords have survived this in very good health. And it's also for most tenants as well, you know, it's not all doom and gloom out there. Most people seem to, so far, have kept their jobs in terms of our tenants, and long may it continue. Of course, we can't guarantee that with the end of furlough. Who knows? There will be some casualties, no doubt. But it's nice to see that. He says much of the effects come down to the efforts of the government and the Bank of England have had to make mortgage borrowing incredibly easy and cheap. Well, I kind of agree with that. If you're a regular viewer, you'll know that the one thing that I find frustrating is that first-time buyers have to pay so much more than the rest of us for their mortgages because they're considered so much greater risk than the rest of the market. Now, with the new first-time buyer scheme Help to Buy coming up for the first time for first-time buyers on the second-hand property market, let me quantify that. Help to Buy has been around for a long time. It's assistance to help first-time buyers with a deposit, meaning that they can just get away with a 5% deposit, which isn't widely available elsewhere. And this has been available in the new build sector for many years. And the net result of that has been that new build prices have risen absolutely skyrocketed because the only way people with a 5% deposit were able to access the market was via new builds. And of course, this led to a flood of applications for every new build property that was in the first time buyer price ranges. And of course, this pushed prices upwards. So it had exactly the opposite effect of the assistance. It was pushing prices further away. What's better about this particular scheme, if it works well, is that it involves a second-hand market. This means that people that are looking at second-hand houses in the general market across the UK will be able to access these mortgages. What we don't know yet, and we're really anxious to find out, is what the cost of these loans will be. My view is that because the government is subsidising and guaranteeing, they're underwriting that proportion of the mortgage between 80% and 95%, the lenders should offer the borrowers similar rates to those, or if not the same rates as those, preferably, to those with a 20% deposit, because effectively the risk is the same. And I just think that, you know, hope that they don't underwrite the risk with a massive premium, meaning first-time buyers have a huge hill to climb in terms of the actual repayments on the loans. That's going to be critical to them getting it right. Let's see what they do. You'll hear it here first when it happens. Lenders have yet to announce any of their schemes. That's quite frustrating, just waiting around for that. We're supposed to be initiating at the beginning of April. No lender has yet announced a single scheme. There are 95% mortgages out there. Yorkshire Building Society, I think, we're one of the first via their Accord product. But that's for freehold properties only. And in the London market and the London suburbs where we are, because prices are a little bit higher, doesn't really help that much. So watch this space, hopeful that will be better as time goes on. An article regarding stamp duty comes out, The Telegraph today. It's an interesting one, and one that, well, we'd love to see this happen. I don't see it happening. The thing about stamp duty is we all hate it. It all seems like an unreasonable tax for what? Because you moved house? How is that fair? And who does what for this? What work is done by the government or anybody else to receive this tax? And the answer is none whatsoever. The solicitors actually receive the premium from the buyers and they just pass it straight on to the government. And it's a huge amount of money we're talking about. And it's because it's such a huge amount of money that I don't think we'll see it just abolished. I would love to see that. Love to see stamp duty abolished, but I don't see it ever happening because it's the simplest tax in the world to collect, and it makes billions for the UK government. So I don't see that changing, but nonetheless, this is an article that says that stamp duty should be permanently axed as part of a radical overhaul to boost investment in the wake of the coronavirus and help workers easily move new jobs. The OECD, or Organisation for Economic Cooperation and Development, has said, the think tank said the tax cut should be combined with reforms to boost construction and add additional infrastructure spending to help boost the UK economy. Couldn't agree more, guys. The OECD, a Paris-based group that represents wealthy nations, said a permanent reduction should be combined with changes to council tax to raise more funds so that more of the burden is shouldered by homeowners who stay put. It also praised reforms last year aimed at speeding up the planning process. The OECD said easing land use regulations while balancing resource allocation, environmental and social concerns can spur more investment in housing, improving affordability and competition in construction. Well, that's interesting. And the other thing is here, another article in the Telegraph on the demise of the office. This is something that we've said for a while now, that as lockdown eases, we will see London come back. And many have said, oh, London's dead. No one's ever going to go back there. And we beg to differ. We think that London, when it does open up fully, will surprise people. And certainly the investment in property in UK offices suggests so. There's another article which says that the demise of the office is exaggerated amid a skyscraper boom. That's a surprise, isn't it, given how commercial property has been such a bloodbath for landlords recently, with many tenants not able or not willing to pay, and many landlords not able to do anything about it. It says that more high-rise office buildings are being built in London now than before the coronavirus struck, suggesting the demise of the office could be overblown. A total of 587 skyscrapers were in the planning and construction phases at the end of last year, research by Knight Frank says. That's up 7.9% from 2019. The number of planning permissions granted in the capital in 2020, defined as buildings with 20 stories or more, was 11% up. That's really interesting. Stuart Bailey of Knight Frank, a good commentator in my view, says evidence indicates that although COVID-19 impacted construction activity and investor confidence, there was a significant bounce back later in the year. We also continue to see an upward trend of planning approvals across London, indicating that planning authorities and developers are working collaboratively to arrive at positive planning determination. So watch this space. That's a really interesting thing for me, is that we talked a long time now. Is the office dead? I don't think so. I think the office will come back, not in the same way. And I do think that there'll be permanent changes brought about by the impact of the pandemic. But I also think that there will always be employment in London. People will always need it, and it will always be one of the most fantastic cities in the world. And I think we'll be surprised by how the market opens up. And watch this space. We're certainly starting to get busy already from London commuters looking to get back into the city now things are opening up. That's it on the general news. A couple of other articles I spotted today. One was actually regarding London rents, and this was something from the DPS. This is a deposit service, one of the big major deposit services in the UK. London rents climbed for the first time over a year in Q1 2021. Although the rise was a mere £8 or 0.61 pence on average, it just suggests that the capital's rental market has stabilised despite the coronavirus pandemic, says the Deposit Protection Service. That's good news, and it's something that we've been echoing for a while now, is we're starting to see the stabilisation of the London property market, and that will be a very welcome return for many landlords, let me tell you. And the other thing is, I noticed that the most expensive apartment in the UK has gone on sale. And it's Nick Candy again, the Candy brothers. It's the Hyde Park penthouse, and it's on the market for a cool £175 million, the most expensive apartment in London. It looks incredible, as you might expect, looking at the pictures here. Hyde Park, and it's a luxurious 2-story apartment in Knightsbridge. It's got 5 bedrooms and a 21-metre swimming pool. It's got 18,000 square feet for an apartment. That's beggars belief, doesn't it? 18,000 square feet. It also boasts a private spa, gym, 2 terraces, 4 parking spaces, a wine room with enough space for 750 bottles, and its own cocktail bar. and no doubt waitress as well that goes with it. If you've got that kind of money, crazy stuff. So I hope you're doing well today. We've got quite a busy day again on valuations and appointments. So I'm pleased to say that the market continues at pace so far. If you're looking to beat the June deadline, I've been saying for a while now, it's really tight. You know, it's going to depend on the people you use. You need high quality estate agents, high quality solicitors, and you need to make sure that those around you really are cautious about the kind of lender they're using, selecting the kind of buyer that they're selecting, how big the chains are involved in the transaction. It's going to be a big thing, but it's very, very tight now. And I would say if you're thinking, you know, we're going to make this deadline definitely, that's a big ask. You may do, but it will require so many ducks to be in a row. So just be careful on that one. I would say give us a call if you'd like to chat about that or the marketing of your home. It's what we do. If you have any questions generally for the housing market, always DM us. We're always happy to answer your questions on air every week, live or otherwise. So until tomorrow, stay safe, keep your families well, have a fantastic day, and we'll see you same time tomorrow. Take care.